How long does it take for someone to heal from childhood trauma?
I'm not in a hurry.
Go downstairs and get me a list.
5 years,
1 cent.
10 years,
Get your mother. Get your mother.
or maybe a lifetime. So many people are trapped in their childhood trauma and can never get out. If you've had a similar experience, please listen to his story. He is a homeroom teacher looked down upon by his students. When handling a student fight, he tried to have a heart-to-heart with them, but was confronted by the students right to his face.
Cake, I know all the other friends call you Elaine, so I call you Cake too. Sometimes teachers and the students can even become very good friends. If you are not my friend, then you should definitely call me Vincent.
A message popped up on his phone. He glanced at it quickly, then hurriedly placed the phone face down on the table. The message was from his wife, urging him to go sign the divorce papers. He was afraid of being found out, but news of his divorce had already spread throughout the school. Everyone was just playing along with him, while he foolishly kept wearing his wedding ring, thinking he was hiding it well. That day, a janitor found an anonymous suicide note in the classroom. The writer said they really wanted to leave this world. He wanted to find the owner of the note as soon as possible. But the school leaders suggested keeping the matter quiet for now. The college entrance exams were coming up, and they absolutely couldn't let this affect the other students' mood. Besides, the note was most likely just a prank.
Someone named Nephi was also copying him online, which made him furious.
For example, the Federal Reserve's actions are causing a big stir, and others are over-issuing currency. These are all considered fake. Should Mei Fang say it again? Who should you be thinking about? You should pay attention to a beautiful woman. Go ahead and talk about it.
Everything just now was all in his imagination. Not only did the students look down on him, but he also really hated this version of himself that just swallowed his anger. He took the suicide note home and compared it with the student's handwriting. Staring at a line in his heart, he was stunned. Jing Shang wrote that he wasn't an important person and would soon be forgotten. He dug out his old school bag from childhood and took out a diary from it. The cover was a bit faded, and the inner pages were wrinkled along the edges. He quietly flipped through it. Time suddenly rewound to 20 years ago. It was at his younger brother's recital that he suddenly realized his parents might never have loved him. They smiled with satisfaction at his brother on stage, admiring what they considered their finest creation.
Hard work will definitely lead to success, but effort is bound to fail.
His father, impeccably dressed in a suit, was the elite among elites, and his mother was a graceful and courteous philanthropist. Perhaps in their eyes, only his more successful younger brother was worthy of being considered their equal. He walked past glass cabinets filled with trophies, searching for his parents, watching as they proudly introduced his brother.
Everything's fine with the meeting, right? As long as we have this breakfast, there shouldn't be any problems, right?
Did you keep it for elementary and university?
The harmonious scene of the three of them together made him want to get closer to his mother as well.
Mom, do you happen to have a glass of water available?
Thank you, little brother.
He thought he had done well enough this time, but
A glass of water.
Huh? Really?
A glass of water. Just one glass. If I know English, I shouldn't speak. I'm stupid.
he stared at his father's back for a long time. Fortunately, he still had comics to comfort him. The happiest time of the day was hiding under the covers before bed, reading comics. His favorite comic was Pirate. In the corner, a faint beam of light illuminated his small world, and all his worries would slowly melt away. He believed that one day, he would become the adult he wanted to be. Suddenly, the sound of shouting and hitting came from outside the door. He knew his father was taking his anger out on his mother again. It turned out that, at the alumni gathering earlier, his mother had donated 100,000 yuan in her own name, without including his father's name.
Sigh.
Keep going. You feed all of those harmful cigarettes directly to my dear mother, causing her immense distress and suffering.
Frightened, he ran back to his room. The door was pushed open, and the shadow on the floor grew longer and longer. His younger brother on the upper bunk was already fast asleep.
Please, go and wait patiently outside for a little while. Sigh.
The comic book was torn to shreds. He looked down at the wound on his arm, then threw the last piece into the trash can. He couldn't remember how many times he'd been punished to stand like this. Maybe if he behaved a little better and got even better grades, his father would love him a bit more. He talked to his stuffed toys to comfort himself. His younger brother thought it was childish.
Sexy.
He remembered the principal saying that the secret to his own son getting into the University of Hong Kong was writing a diary every day. He ran to the stationery store, gave up on the game console he had wanted for so long, and used his already limited pocket money to buy new paper and pens. He started writing a diary every day, trying to change himself.
Hello, I'm Ji. My name is Zheng Yuji, and I'm your new owner.
You can do it. You will eventually become an adult, the kind of adult you want to be. Now you're writing a diary. Soon you become an older brother. And then a father.
He personally made breakfast for his family and knew everyone's tastes at home very well. When he heard that his parents wanted his younger brother to transfer schools, he wanted to go too.
There's Warsaw over there. You? If you go up, what'll happen to you at Yinghao?
The restaurant fell silent. In this family, income and grades determine your status. Even the father's photo on the wall seems to be watching every move in this house. He took the initiative to break the silence.
Mom, Dad, I invite you to come to the exam. I'll get 10th place.
Another dead silence.
Then, considering all these important factors, what specific rank should I realistically aim to get?
Mom signaled to Dad with her eyes. Dad promised him that as long as he ranked 15th in the class, he would raise his allowance to match his younger brothers and take them on a trip to the United States. The previously tense atmosphere became relaxed again. It had been a long time since they laughed so happily together. In his eyes, it seemed like everything would get better and better, just like in the comics. But the day the results came out was not as easy as he had imagined.
He did pretty well in Chinese 61. I got 54 in English, and I was just a bit short of passing in math, got 48.
So, what was your rank in the class?
In the whole class, well, I was ranked 29th.
Forget about it. I just knew that I would never get it.
This time, not only was he at the bottom of the class, but he also has to repeat a year. He watched his mother silently cry in the car, not knowing how to comfort her. He knew that when they got home, it wouldn't just be him getting beaten, his mother would be dragged into it too. He could only apologize cautiously.
I'm sorry.
His mother ignored him, simply wiped away her tears, and then took out some powder from her bag to touch up her makeup. It turned out that an important guest was visiting Tonai. This father had invited the principal of his younger brother's new school over for dinner. Because he was nervous, he accidentally called the guest by the wrong name. His mother had the servant take him away. He thought it was because the adults needed to discuss serious matters.
Why is there an outsider here?
He wanted to talk to that outsider.
It turned out he was the real outsider. His grades were so bad that he was about to be held back a year, and he had embarrassed his father, so he got another severe beating. From that night on, he put away his beloved comics, stayed up late memorizing textbooks, slept only 5 hours a day, and even used dinner time to do homework. He was determined to do well on the next exam and not let his parents down again. Finally, the day of the exam arrived. He was eating breakfast, getting ready to do his best at the test, when he suddenly received terrible news. His favorite manga artist had jumped to their death. He lowered his head and never lifted it again. He even forgot to pass the test papers to his classmates during the exam. Suddenly, he felt a pain in his stomach, broke out in a cold sweat, and waves of nausea churned inside him. This was a psychosomatic stomachache, triggered by anxiety and stress. He still couldn't hold it together. He messed everything up again. His mother forced him to take the makeup exam. The teacher suggested he repeat a grade. He sat quietly in the small nurse's office, watching all of this unfold. No one cared about what he had actually been through. He didn't know what was wrong with himself. All he could do was secretly wipe away his tears, alone in the middle of the night. He always thought that passionate manga artist was a very happy person. Why did he jump off a building and take his own life? Even the person who gave him the most courage and hope couldn't bear this world. Can he really keep going himself? He couldn't find an answer, nor could he understand why. No matter how hard he tried, he could never be as outstanding as his younger brother. All he knew was that Pirate would never update again. He suffered from insomnia all night, and accidentally fell asleep in class, which got him punished by being made to stand. The students in the back row found him a nuisance.
Jing, Yuji, you can go greet the door.
With his head down, he walked through the classroom amid a chorus of ridicule.
He was just beaten by his dad, so you don't need to punish him here.
The laughter grew louder. He looked at his younger brother, but his brother avoided his gaze, looking elsewhere, with a hint of mockery at the corner of his mouth. Right now, he missed someone terribly, his former piano teacher. He was the only one in the family who cared about him, always gently encouraging him, no matter how poorly he played.
Do you know, among all the children I teach, you're one of the best behaved and the one I feel closest to.
Close, but still not as talented as your little brother.
But not everyone has to be like the little brother.
I want to be like my little brother. If I master playing the piano, could I become a teacher like you? When I grow up, I'll definitely be a good teacher. Even if my students hand in their homework late or play the piano badly, I won't scold them. I'll ask them, why aren't you happy in class?
But his own father didn't particularly like him, thinking he was utterly incompetent and simply couldn't teach good, promising students. He contacted a friend's son.
No, that's not right. Do it again.
The harsh criticism made him more and more nervous, and no matter how he played, it was always wrong.
No, that's not right. Do it again.
No one in this family was gentle with him anymore, or gave him a little more time to grow.
If I play really badly, will Dad leave me too?
He looked at the students in the audience and fell into deep thought. Every student seemed perfectly fine. They were all attending class and eating as usual. But in that suicide note, she belittled herself, as if she was worthless. He fell into deep doubt. What is the true meaning of existence? Can grades and rankings really define a person completely? Beyond those cold numbers, they are all living, breathing individuals. He knew everyone's class ranking, but didn't truly understand who they really were. He discovered that the class monitor hadn't attended PE class for a whole year, always using feeling unwell as an excuse to avoid it. When he rolled up her sleeve, there were no signs of wrist cuts. But when he pulled the sleeve up higher, there were as many as 10 knife scars on the girl's arm. The class monitor was the kind of obedient girl both parents and teachers trusted most, but her heart was already covered in scars. She took the class monitor up the mountain to shout to the top of their lungs this was her way of relieving stress. As they were about to leave, the class monitor hugged her. That embrace made her feel, for the first time, the meaning of her own existence. She remembered when she was little how she and her brother would run wild in the streets, secretly buy the game console they'd wanted for so long, and jump in puddles without worrying about getting their clothes dirty. They ran up to the rooftop and shouted at the sky.
All right, that's enough! What are you talking about? The boy was studying too!
Those were the happiest days of her childhood.
I came from the rooftop! What if something happens to your little brother? You spent so much money on toys, did you steal money?
I didn't steal any money.
My little brother would never steal! I don't know how to explain this to your dad. If I ever get divorced, it'll definitely be because of you.
He was afraid that his mom would really get divorced because of him, afraid that there would no longer be a place for him in this family. He gently knocked on his dad's door, inching closer bit by bit. His dad treated him like he was invisible and just carried on. He continued working on the documents at hand.
I don't have any more time.
There's just no time left.
I'm sorry.
His father still ignored him. He slowly took out the feather duster he'd been hiding behind his back, handed it to his father, and asked him to punish him.
You're already 12 years old. Hasn't anyone taught you yet?
I'm really bad.
The father regretted naming him Yuji, feeling that he had let down his own intentions, and even considered swapping his name with his younger brother's. Seeing his father grow colder and colder toward him, he couldn't stop his tears from falling.
I'm sorry.
If you grow up and want to be called trash, I won't stop you. You're neither my talent nor my educator. I won't hit you anymore. Hitting you is just a waste of my energy.
He realized that his father would never hit him again. He had been completely abandoned. He went back to his room, climbed onto his younger brother's bed, used the last of his strength to push him awake, and then gently leaned against his brother's shoulder. The next day, the three of them were going on a trip to America, but he was punished to stay home alone and reflect on himself. Maybe if he disappeared, he would never be called trash again. His parents wouldn't have to spend so much energy and money raising him anymore. He wanted to feel the warmth of the world one last time, say goodbye to his brother, and say goodbye to his diary. He had made up his mind. Just like his favorite manga artist, he ended his life by jumping off a building. And he had never told anyone that he had a biological older brother. Yes, the teacher at the beginning of our story is not the older brother, but actually the most outstanding younger brother in the family. The funeral was simple. The father told others that the older brother died of illness, afraid that people would find out it was suicide and the family would lose face. Relatives and friends were all deeply saddened, each wanting to comfort the parents. But when they learned it was the dumb one who died, they all seemed to breathe a sigh of relief.
His father finally came to see him.
Yeah, that's really enough.
The mother left home and never came back. The father pretended not to care, but his temper grew more and more violent, getting by on smoking and drinking. He knew very well that in his brother's death, every member of the family was a perpetrator. The father's domestic violence, the mother's weakness, and his own silence were all murderers of this 10-year-old child. Amidst the chaos, he hid his brother's school bag and diary, because he knew very well that after a person dies, their belongings also disappear and are gradually forgotten. He wanted to keep his brother's things, so that he would have something to remember him by in the future. In the past, he was afraid of his father and pretended to study hard. Now he began to take revenge. No longer playing the role of a good child, he started smoking, fighting, and hanging out with bad kids. He would occasionally follow strangers on the street because their profiles resembled his mother's. Childhood trauma made him distrust stable relationships and even more afraid of becoming a father. When he learned that his wife was pregnant, his eyes were filled with unease. He felt incapable of taking responsibility for a new life. He kept recalling that unhappy family from his childhood and began to habitually avoid reality. He hated his father for single-handedly destroying their family. Before his father passed away, he kept playing a cassette tape over and over. The piano music was hesitant and stumbling, a recording of his older brother playing before he died. His father came from a poor background and and grew up with beatings and scolding. He grew up and, after much effort, finally became a senior lawyer. No one ever taught him how to care for his child, so he could only imitate his own parents, placing all his hopes and expectations on his child. This is a childhood trauma experienced by every East Asian kid. We all know that my older brother was not a bad kid. Although his grades weren't good when he was young, he was kind, cheerful, sensitive, and empathetic, had a unique ability to sense the emotions of those around him. He could have received great guidance, but in an extremely competitive environment, ordinary people who want to change their fate can only rely on academic credentials and test scores. He was labeled by this system as stupid, as trash, as a failure destined to be abandoned. They were easily divided into regular and elite classes, forcing vibrant children to become study machines, turning them into mere numbers on ranking charts, and ultimately being suffocated by a distorted environment. The younger brother saw all of this. His determination to find the author of the suicide note comes from his fear that what happened to his older brother might happen again, because these tragedies often start with something very small. School administrators all think that students nowadays are too difficult to teach, that their psychological resilience is too weak, and that they threaten suicide at the slightest provocation. In fact, the older brother once tried to save himself. He told their mother that he wanted to see a psychologist. But even his own mother, the person closest to him, tragically didn't take his desperate cry for help seriously. Her inability to recognize the depth of his pain left him feeling utterly alone and unheard. So, how were they supposed to save themselves from their own struggles? During the poignant last class before the daunting college entrance exam, he shared many deeply heartfelt words with his classmates. He carefully wrote his personal phone number on the blackboard, hoping that whenever anyone among them felt overwhelmed by pain or despair, they would be willing to reach out and talk to him, knowing they had a safe and understanding ear. He knew very well that he couldn't change his environment, so he could only carry on his late brother's wishes and strive to change the current situation. On the day of the college entrance exam, he brought a bouquet of flowers and went to their secret hideout. The wind blew through her hair, and she seemed to see her brother from back then, just before he jumped. Her brother smiled, as if blaming her for coming so late, and also as if he was seeing the grown-up version of herself. The two of them just looked at each other like that for a long time. Some people leave their childhood traumas forever at the age of 10, while others carry those wounds with them for a lifetime. The name of this film is Time Still Turns the Pages, written and directed by up-and-coming director Norris Wong, and it received 12 nominations at the 42nd Hong Kong Film Awards. In interviews, he mentioned that the inspiration for the film came from the real-life experience of a friend who committed suicide while he was in college. The night before, his friend was still chatting with him, but the next day, he ended his own life. Just like in the film, every child seems fine on the surface, but cracks have already formed in each of their hearts, tiny and subtle, yet buried deep for many years. The director deeply regrets not having talked with him a bit more. We may not have the power to change this harsh environment, but perhaps we can start with a simple greeting.